Marc is a CEO of Walmart e-commerce and serial entrepreneur who founded and sold 4 massive companies, including Diapers.com to Amazon for $545 million. He went from working in the finance industry before embarking on an entrepreneurial journey of starting multiple companies, including Jet.com, which he sold to Walmart for $3 billion in cash and $300 million in stock. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, top 10, na na na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Marc and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1, be comfortable with failing.
I found it's something really interesting is that people that have typically gone to really good schools and done really well grade-wise, they're used to getting A's on everything, have a much harder time taking risk because they look at something that has a low probability of success and say, well, why would I do that? I'm used to getting A's and that's 95%. So why would I do something that has 20%? Well, because the outcome is 200x or 500x. That's why you do it. But a lot of people just can't get comfortable with that. I think that's the difference between an entrepreneur and not. Somebody who's comfortable with a low probability of success with a huge outcome. And then you go after it and you're okay failing. I failed so many times as a kid, whether it be academically or otherwise, that I was so comfortable with failing that it was not even a concept. It just meant that combined with just being chill generally about things not working out, the combination of that allowed me to like freely just take risk without any regard for like maybe failing.
Rule number 2, take the biggest step you can.
We started, there's like a CPA, a chartered, accountant, and there's the CFA, chartered financial analyst. There was nothing for financial risk managers. You couldn't get certified. So I was talking to my boss and became a friend, and I was like, why don't we just kind of create an exam for risk managers because it doesn't exist. And he was kind of like, yeah, well.
You literally created an industry.
Yeah, how do you create an exam? And so we started talking to people. And basically they're like, well, you can't just create a certification. Like, who are you? You're like 24 years old. You can't just start an exam. Like, who's going to like accredit it or who's going to, and I said, no, we'll start an association.
Wow.
And a not-for-profit association. And that association will credit it, and then we'll kind of do the exam. And so everyone's like, that's crazy. You can't do it. So I said, forget it. I'm jumping in. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a website. We're going to put up a date for the exam. The first thing we did was a date. We just picked a date, like it's May, whatever. I don't remember the year, 98. Here's the date, it's New York City, actual date, and here's the outline of all the things that are gonna be on the exam. Send a check for $500 and you got your seat, and then that's it. And so we just put it up there. And all of a sudden we started getting checks. What? People started sending checks. And it was just like, so we looked at each other like, I think we need to write this exam now.
Oh my gosh, there was no exam at the time.
No, it was just, we just started with the date and the agenda for the topics.
Yes.
And we started getting all these checks and we got 34 checks, $17,000 and 34 people. And so we decided, so me and Lev sat down and we spent weekend after weekend, nights and things, writing this entire exam on every topic. And we gave also recommended readings as well. And then we went to New York City, we rented out a place, and we administered this exam to 34 people. And then we went home and corrected it. We decided where the pass-fail was. We sent certificates to the people that passed. And now today, it's still in like 50 countries around the world. There's like thousands of people taking this exam.
You're a trip, man. like
no, but it's just a great, and I'm just saying that only because people think that when you start something, it has to be like buttoned up, or you need to have a plan, or you need to know your next step or whatever. And what I always say is, just take the biggest step you can with your next move.
Rule number 3, learn through trial and error.
when you were a child or growing up, when you were just getting started, did you have any mentors, people that were there to help you out, guide you a little bit, or was it books? Where did you get your advice from?
Definitely wasn't books. I never read anything. I didn't exactly have, I really learned by trial and error. So I was kind of left to my own devices a bit as a kid. Probably a little bit too much rope. You know, I grew up in kind of a tough, kind of childhood. And I tried a lot of things, failed at a lot of things, and learned through trial and error, basically.
Rule number 4, do whatever it takes.
And what is it that you understand that makes you so successful that you think other people are missing?
I don't know if necessarily other people are missing it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, like create a situation where it feels like life or death.
Billions or body bags?
Billions or body bags, yeah. No, but it's, in all seriousness, that I think is the distinguishing characteristic, because all 4 of the businesses, they were all turned out to be successes, but if I didn't put it into that extra gear, I think none of them would have made it. Like I really think that you have to be willing to go all the way.
How do you pull that off though? Like the first time I get it, because it really is, I know you left banking, you didn't exactly have a safety net. And so the first one really is sort of billions or body bags. But after that, I mean, you've had some huge wins.
Yeah.
How do you recapture that?
I always figure out a way to put myself in a position where it can't not work. And so, the first one, it was not only quitting, but I also put every dollar in my bank account into that first company.
Did you have kids at that point?
Yeah.
So what do you tell people?
I just had a kid.
Like the number of people that want to be entrepreneurs that come up to me and they say, look, I've got this litany of things, I'm married now, I have kids, I can't really do this. Yeah. How did you position yourself financially and emotionally to pull that one off? I just convinced myself that I would do this for a year or two, give it a real go. Because you had that much saved up, or? The idea was to take everything I saved, invest it in the company, take a salary, but I still needed to raise capital to kind of continue on. And so I hoped that I'd be able to do that. And if I was able to, then I'd be able to sustain. Worst case, wasn't able to raise money, had no more money in savings, and had to go back into the workforce. Did I think that I can get back in? Like, was I, past the point where of no return? And I thought, no, I'm 7 years into my career. Worst case, I can go back and get a normal job again. But that was too much of a safety net. You could always go back. It was investing every penny of savings into the business that was the real catalyst for making sure that it worked. And then in the subsequent business, it was less about the money that was at risk and more friends and family money. So every relative, every friend, everybody I knew pretty much had a stake in the startup. And I just didn't want to disappoint all the people that I love and care about, so that drove me more than anything.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, self-love, and learn from billionaires, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
If you absolutely can't tolerate critics, then don't do anything new or interesting.
Investing in yourself is the best thing you can do. Anything that improves your own talents. Like, nobody can take it away from you. They can run up huge deficits and the dollar can become worth far less. You can have all kinds of things happen.
Before we were able to get the Roadster out, then they'd say, well, you couldn't possibly make that car work.
Rule number 5, have a plan you can crush.
Typically, entrepreneurs, they create a financial plan when they're young. That's the best financial plan they can get venture capital investors or angel investors to believe, thinking that'll maximize valuation and maximize the chances of raising money. The problem is, this is more than just like one and done in terms of raising money. You have to raise money multiple times, most likely. Yeah. And so my advice would be, put together a financial plan that's the worst plan you can get and raise money on. And they're very different sometimes. Because once you raise money on a plan that you can crush, you build momentum. And it's that momentum that's going to carry you from round to round. Because there's definitely, the investment community is a lot smaller than people think. And word spreads quickly. If you're crushing plan, you're going to get people's attention.
Rule number 6, do it better.
If you were to advise someone who goes, all right, I'm not an entrepreneur yet, or I'm in one kind of, but might not be my dream one. There's just some piece of advice, like where do I start? Do I try to solve people's problems? Do I try to go where my passions are? You know, you hear all this conflicting advice, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
What do you think?
I get asked this question all the time. I think there's a misunderstanding that when you start a business that you need to do something that's never been done. I think that is the critical mistake that people make. It's like they're looking and they wind up, when you find something that's never been done, it's usually kind of niche. It's like small. It's like, yeah, there's a reason why nobody's doing that. You know, usually. Sometimes it's a true invention.
No, that's a good
Sometimes
point.
it's a true invention. But I just hear these like ideas all the time, and they're a little bit like they're just kind of small. The biggest ideas are just take something in the world that's already big and proven. The demand's there, and just say, you know what, I can do it better. You know, I can do it better. There's something that's a little bit off here. Like it's just not done quite right. You know, you can pick any business, you know, you want and look at it and say like, is there an opening here? Is there a way to disrupt this kind of industry or business? Like, is there something here? And then just do it a better way. Start small and just, you know, put one foot in front of the other.
Rule number 7, find the great person to work for.
I did have the fortune of like, once I hit the workplace, I was very fortunate to have some amazing leaders as bosses, just coincidentally, which I always tell people now, kids that are graduating college, I say, don't worry about the job. Like, don't worry about the company. It's all about who are you working for? Mm-hmm. That is by far the most important element in choosing a job. Yeah. Find a great person to work for, because you're going to learn so much from that person. That's what it's all about early in your career. It's learning, experience, but not learning how to do a job or a trade or a skill, but learning how to be a leader, learning how to treat people. Because at the end of the day, if you want to go far in business, you're going to be managing, leading people. You're going to be hiring, selling them to come into your company, and you're going to need to keep them motivated, engaged, right? And so that you realize that's the most important thing. And most people don't learn that skill, and they don't learn that skill because in order to learn it, you need to have somebody teaching it to you. So that's why I'm always saying, find a great leader and work with them. I'd work for free. If I could go back in time, find an amazing leader and just work for free right out of college.
Rule number 8, hire missionaries, not mercenaries.
I look to hire people that are self-motivated, who are more missionary than mercenary. So it's not about...
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the primary motivation is not money. The primary motivation is to make an impact on the world. And the company has a mission. It's got a vision. It's typically bold. And you want to find people that really believe in it and want to, make a contribution and be a part of something bigger than themselves. And they're willing to work hard at it. And yes, money will come, and they want money, but it's like secondary. Some people, like having worked in banking for 7 years is very different. It's, I'll do whatever you want, just pay me. And so find people that are really self-motivated, get them in the right position, and then empower them. Give them all the information, be transparent, trust them, and then just empower them to run and not micromanage or get in their way. And I found you have incredible leverage when you have great people and you kind of let them do their thing.
Rule number 9, look for the mega trends.
There's a kind of a right time to kind of enter a segment, know? And if you look back in history, it's kind of interesting how things happen in groups. So like if you look back to, you mentioned McDonald's before, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all started within the similar years. Why is that? Why did fast food happen then? Why did Target and Kmart and Walmart all start around the same time? Like it's because there are trends in society
Baby boomers are buying burgers
that make businesses be the right time. And as an entrepreneur, if you're thinking about like you're open to doing anything, there's two different kinds. I have this passion in this area, and I know this area well, and I think I can do it better. Great, then follow that passion. If you don't have necessarily a passion, and you just say, I really want to start a business, I'm excited, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I'm looking, the first thing I would say is look broadly at sort of the world and see where are the mega trends happening, and then get into a moving train, get on a moving train, because that's the easiest way to raise capital, is to get on a trend that's already sort of in motion.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is do the little things.
Talk to me about how you've created this emotional bond with customers. And
sure, this is something that I learned from my previous company, from diapers.com. I think, in life, it's the same thing with relationships that you have with your spouse or your friends and things. It's like the connection you develop is the most important thing that you have. It's based on being open and having trust. And the same thing goes with customers. We want to talk to customers. We want to be transparent. We want to trust them. And we want to build that emotional connection. And we want to do all the little things that matter to people. It's not the sort of necessarily the big things are a given, but it's the little touch points. It's the handwritten notes that we do. It's the personalized videos. I just recently...
Well, tell me about the personalized videos.
I just recently went to the warehouse to film all day. I think it was about 150 personalized videos. And if we're going to sort of pilot that, if that goes well, I plan on going back and trying to do 1,000 of them. But basically a one-on-one sort of personal video to customers.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Marc on how to look for opportunities that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what are the little things that you're not doing that you need to pay more attention to? Let me know. Put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you're still here watching, I want to celebrate you, because Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. So if that's you and you commit, you promise you're going to take action immediately after watching this video, give me a hashtag Believe down in the comments and tell me where you're from, because I want to celebrate you.
Talk to me about like risk. To the young guy out there, how do you take risk? How do you decide, okay, I'm gonna go for it. This is worth it. How do you weigh the pros and cons of whatever's coming up?
Yeah, I look for opportunities where their risk means a low probability of success. Basically, that's what I would kind of bucket. If you said, well, it's risky, what's a low probability of success? But you need to make sure that it's a low probability of success. But if it is successful, it's orders of magnitude bigger returns. So for example, you have a 10% shot, you invest $100 and you have a 10% shot, the 100 becomes $1 million. That's a bet you want to take, right? Because 1 in 10, 100 becomes $1 million. Do that over and over again. Look for opportunities like that. It doesn't make sense to take a risk. You have a 10% shot of success and $100 becomes 1,000. You're not going to, that's not going to work out in the long term. So find bets that have a high expected value, where the outcomes are outsized relative to the risk. Find those opportunities and then be prepared to take them over and over again. Because if you take those shots 10 times and 10%, there's a good chance one of those will work out and then you hit the $1 million outcome. You have to be prepared to go in, give it everything you've got. If it fails, get back up, find another opportunity. And for me, fortunately, within each one of my companies, if I continued to go down the path I was going, it would have been a failure. But I saw an opportunity to take yet another 10% shot in the existing company, and I did it a few times. Failed, took the shot, failed, took the shot, failed, and then it worked. So all 4 companies, fortunately for me, worked out. But there were failures inside of each one of them that could have blown up if I wasn't prepared to get back up and go at it again.
If you want to see the top 10 I did on Jeff Bezos, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You really can't accomplish anything important if you're not stubborn on vision, because things that are important take a long time. They take teams. You can't do it by yourself.